Welcome to NuttieBuddie Sports.
Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to start with the Chicago Bears. So Erik, with everything they've done this offseason, so we already couple of key additions. Byron Pringle, I don't know if you consider him a key addition. I don't know if anyone really I would classify as a key addition. They lost a couple key players. Allen Robinson and Khalil Mack are the two that stand out. Their first round pick, they didn't have one. They traded up for Justin Fields last year. And one of the things that they had to give up was a first round pick, but they drafted a corner, Kyler Gordon, in the second round, is their highest draft pick. And let's just start here, Erik. What do you have for the Bears? Stock up, stock down, or stock hold?
Stock down and very confused. Because the Bears spent all that draft capital to get Justin Fields last year, and they did almost nothing to help him. Mm-hmm. They let his number one receiver go, or they let go. They didn't re-sign the offensive line player that was playing pretty good for them last year, and their offensive line wasn't great anyway. So now it's going to be probably not any better at all. And I don't see any more weapons for Justin Fields. So I don't unfortunately know enough about these rookies to say that they're going to be big difference makers, but if anything, it'd be, like the big players, with the cornerback, a safety, and a wide receiver, the top three picks for them. And that's just 2 second rounds and a third round pick. I just don't see how they will do anything to compete for the division. You're going to rely a lot on a young guy to do a lot for your team. And he has to do a lot by himself. The Bears didn't have a lot of talent to begin with, and then they lost two of their more talented players, if not three, with Khalil Mack and Allen Robinson, and then I guess the offensive guard, from what I understand about him. So I feel like they made a step backwards this offseason, and that's not a good sign at all. It's not putting your young quarterback in a good way to succeed at all. I just think they can they should do they should have took a different approach, but I mean, I can say that look in hindsight 2020, but it's just not a good sign for the Bears. I think I think they're going to be the worst team in the division.
Yeah, so they were 6-11 last year. So by that standard, I am with you on the stock down. Confused is the right word as well. I think everything that the Bears have sort of done, even with the hiring of the head coach, Matt Eberflus, it's not that I think he's going to be a bad head coach. He's probably pretty good, but it's like they didn't really work on making life easier for Justin Fields. And that should be your ultimate goal right now. Because although we understand like they are in the rebuilding mode again, the Bears are, you did draft your franchise quarterback last year. So your goal should be to build around him to give him success. Now we're looking at year 3 of his rookie contract, where you might actually have, because I think it'll be till next offseason where they actually start putting stuff around him to give him a chance. So I don't like that. I don't like what they did necessarily this offseason to build around Justin Fields. So if I'm going to say personally, I think their stock goes down because of that, because it doesn't set them up very nicely for the future.
No, and especially when you have a young quarterback, your whole job should be to make it easier on him. And I'm not saying a good defense doesn't make it easier on the young quarterback. Obviously it does. A good defense, that way you don't have to put up as much points. I understand that. But the thing is that I just don't get, like, they didn't do anything major on the offensive side. They needed help on the offensive line. I get it. They drafted some players, but some of those players are probably project players, because I mean, I get they didn't have high draft picks, but it's still, they didn't make any huge moves in the offseason to try to get any players. And it just looks like a team that doesn't know its direction, which is not good for a young quarterback. Now, granted, they just signed their head coach. He's a defensive minded coach, if I remember correctly. And that's I never understand that logic with a young quarterback, but if he got the right offensive coordinator, that might not matter much. But like it just doesn't. I don't get what they want to do. I don't get what they want to accomplish. It doesn't mean that, and maybe they're going to rely more on Fields' feet to make him a little bit more of a two-way quarterback and hope he can put up like 17-10 games, but like that's not going to be the way to win the NFL, and that's not a good way to sustain your quarterback for the long haul.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. They drafted that Jones out I think in the 3rd round, the wide receiver. I guess what I understand about him is he's more of a specialist, not that he can't be a wide receiver in this league, but that's just not a great way to start. You would hope you'd get more glowing review than just, I guess his stats did go up from last year, this year in college. So maybe it's just the system he was in. We'll find out. But yeah, I'm with you overall. So stock down for the Chicago Bears for both of us. Okay, let's go to the Minnesota.